everyone! We had the exciting opportunity to interview Alex Scharnberg this weekend, who is a total pro at West African cichlids. He was a speaker at our local fish club, which is the Atlanta Area Aquarium Association, or QUADA as we call it. And thank you so much to them for giving us this, like I said, a credible opportunity. But that's enough for me, and I will let Alex take it away.
I started keeping fish when I was 8, when my father got me a little 5-gallon tank, and then it got bigger because I wanted a rainbow shark, because every little kid wants a shark thing. So we got 10-gallon, and then we got this fish called cribensis, which is the total wrong name, is Pelvicrimus pulcher, which is the common crib, and that's sort of like, I never forgot him. I mean, we even had a car accident coming back from Worldwide Aquarium across Philadelphia on a rainy night with cribensis Pelvicrimus pulcher in the back of the car. So yes, we've had accidents over these. So yeah, that's when I was 12, and Dad got rear-ended and his side wiped in his Pontiac Sunbird. So yeah, we've had car accidents over westies. So I have a long history of loving them. Since I live in a condominium in the uptown Metro Charlotte area, so I don't have a luxury of fish room, but I have like 9 tanks and 1 quarantine tank, and I just specialize in different West Africans because that's, you know. But I love other stuff. I like apistos. I like Laticaris, Central American. I like some Tanganyikan stuff. But if I find a West African and I have an apisto in the tank, the apisto ends up going somewhere else, and then a West African takes its place. So that, and I raise orchids and keep native North American snakes. So
okay. So we have a couple questions from our members. Also, thank you so much to the Atlanta Area Aquarium Association because they're hosting you, and you spoke today as part of their monthly meeting. But our first question was, and you did touch on this in the meeting, where is your favorite place or places to buy West African cichlids?
Favorite places online ordering would be Aquatic Clarity. Jeff Michaels does a great job up there, and he ships beautiful fish, and he has a very good variety. And I like the Wet Spot as well. Retail, those are 2 good shots. Tangled Up in Cichlids occasionally has stuff. You just have to keep checking the list. If like some of the wholesalers will get westies as that's what we call them in the hobby. Westies is the affectionate name for the whole group. You just have to keep an eye out, but those 2 places of Aquatic Clarity and Wet Spot are good bets to look first. If your local pet store can start ordering wholesale from Rehoboth Aquatics, he's the major importer where Wet Spot and Aquatic Clarity get a lot of their stuff. Though they also get from other places, is really great if you can get them to start doing that. But those are about what we got in the United States, and it's pretty good because they get a lot of stuff, so you're pretty covered.
That is a good comprehensive list. And then we had another member question, which was, what would you consider your biggest success in the hobby thus far?
My biggest success in the hobby is not just acquiring the fish, like getting Pelvicrimus tenuatus. I was like, whoa, when I first saw my Nigeria Reds, I was like, whoa, and I would wait to get from Tony Orso out of New Jersey because he was the only one reporting at the time, and I got them at the fish store I was working at, and I was like in awe. And now I'm like, now I've got a whole tank full of them, and I'm just netting them to bring them down here. So that's a success, you know, breeding the fish and growing them up for the fish that I obsessed about when I was like, 27, 28, and now like, yeah, I got them. Or the other says is keeping the darn things alive and figuring, because just like fish, if you have them wrong, it's easy to forget. Like, I learned water changes, and I was losing fish for dropsy and Popeye because I wasn't doing 50% water changes every 2 weeks. And now I'm like, I'm not only keeping these beautiful wild caught fish alive from Cameroon, but they're breeding, and I'm bringing fry to sell to people, which is just exactly where I want to be, So there's still some challenges, like Pelvicrimus Drachenfelsii, or worry. The Pelvicrimus cribensis worry is the other one that now is known as Drachenfelsii. There's a few, like, definitely there's some challenges out there too.
Well, speaking of dreams come true,
Right.
um, do you have a bucket list fish, or is there a dream tank that you hope to one day have?
The bucket list fish still is Limberchromis robertsoni. I have killed a few pairs out of, but those are expensive mistakes. Unfortunately, they're so rare, so it really hurts when you see them. But they're the bucket list species. That and the Chromatidalapia joka would be another one I'd like to have again. Those are like the two big rare ones. Yeah, those two. If I could keep those and reproduce of that, those would be bucket list, and I pretty much can get everything else. And there's one Pelvichromis tenuatus yellows, or Nigeria yellows, which you just can't find. They're sort of brownish, but it's the one variety of tenuatus I've never had. So I want them, but unfortunately Nigeria is unstable, so they're not catching that one because there's not a demand for it. But yeah, so there's a few things I just like to still do, but I still find myself still getting thrilled by Pelvichromis tenuatus lobe version with like no spotting on the fin, just blue and red spangly. I'm like, so yeah, even the ones I see a lot still make me like, they're still in a way everyday bucket list things to have.
And do you have a favorite fish memory? I know it's a weird one.
No, but it's a good question. What was it? The favorite, what was it? God, there's so many, but it would be when I spawned my first pair of Pelvichromis crebensis. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was a thrill, and I couldn't stop watching them. And then or spawning a new species that's hard to acquire that I see. Those are memories, and then the added memories is they're growing up. Oh my gosh, there's still hordes of them. It's like those are memories. At the same time, it was a thrill to go out and speak out in Chicago to the Chicago group at Greater Chicago, because they're strictly cichlids. That's a big group, and to be flown out to all our high rollers, and just and being memories, giving talks and being looked at as the same esteem as these massive breeders with fish rooms, and I'm some guy that just has 10 tanks, and I'm still having fun and being counted amongst the rest, and that's sort of it's a continual fun memory, to get to do this stuff.
So I've got to ask, what is it about West African cichlids specifically over everything else?
The first thing about West African cichlids is the pastel colors. It's the marine-like look to them. You get a female Pelvichromis, crebensis or Drachenfelsii or Chromatidalapia king's eyes, and it's the marine-like quality, the silver with red edgings and blue spangled fins, and they're always in color because they don't have necessarily the predators that a pistos do. So other dwarf cichlids, so they don't always in color, but westies are pretty much in spawning color often, or at least not. If they're not quite, they're still pretty magnetic, and the behaviors are fun. I mean, these fish know you, and they look at you different ways, and they can change, and they talk to you by changing their colors, like a pistos do. Pistos are my other. I have a soft spot for pistos because they act like westies, because they change colors and they communicate through their colors, and the behavior is so easily watchable. You don't have to be up at 2 a.m, after coming out from a night out at the club, whatever, and happen to put a flashlight and see your fish. Like, the only way you're going to see a rare pleco or a queen or a best pleco is if you're hungover in the middle of the morning and happen to stick your flashlight and it's not behind a hiding place. You don't have to do that with these guys. You can just walk by your tank and see cool behavior and see a crebensis, female crebensis. She's flirting her red belly, and the male's getting excited, and they're changing colors. They're doing love talk with their colors. You don't have to wait for a time. This stuff happens a lot, and that's the magic of the colors, the behavior. And I love growing plants. I love planted tanks, and they love plants. So it's kind of, if you like the aquatic garden, they got everything, So it's those three: plants, pastel colors, and behavior.
So if you couldn't keep West African cichlids, what would you keep?
I would probably keep Laticaras. I like that genus in South America. I like Apistos. Apistos would be the runner-up because they're sort of similar. Actually, I like Apistos. There's some wild types. I'm not really into I hate hybrids. I'm not into, I mean, I don't mind some of the crazy color forms of agassiz, but give me a good wild type any day because at heart I'm a naturalist. I like looking at my tanks and seeing planted looking like, okay, transport myself out of the dull wintry time. That's why I walk into the greenhouse and look at orchids, or the spring going and look at roses. Sit somewhere, they provide escape. Those in the Tanganyikans, if I had the money, I would set up several 75-gallon tanks with Tropheus, with the yellow Tropheus, and with again pastels, folks. I love pastels, and some of those Tanganyikans are all about the pastel colors. And I have about 5 different types of Tropheus, which are like $25 a piece. Or I'd set up a large tank, like how would I do it? Like 120 or long tank, and put real tiger lotus and let the lily pads grow to like this big, and have different pearl gouramis and wild gouramis and bettas and labyrinth fish, and do an Southeast Asian tank with lilies that are blooming at the top, with the gouramis and the bettas and the battis underneath, with barbs and raspberries underneath it. Do a Southeast Asian type of biotype, and have it be big enough tank where I could have flowering water lilies in it, and have it above it. I mean, that would be the other, if I want to do a let's go ape display tank, water lilies, water hyacinth, and labyrinth fish, and raspberries and cyprinids all back and forth. That would be another, it does involve cichlids. If I could get cichlids, that'd be the one. That would be just beautiful. That again, I'm creating a whole world that I could look back and escape like I'm in a, Planet Earth video.
That sounds like an amazing tank. I'd like to see that. So we're on our final question, and it's kind of a 2-part question. Mm-hmm. So what do you wish you knew, like looking back, and also what would you like to tell any new hobbyists or those who want to get into West African cichlids?
There are 2 books that you need to get, because there's a lot of stuff on internet, and people think they can find internet. And yes, some of the information in the books is a little outdated, but it gives you a foundation of a way to do stuff. So I learned a lot of my basic skills about West Africans, what to look for, by reading good books. And this is for anything. If you want to get into Tanganyikans, you go out and you buy some, even though they're a little antiquated, you buy them, you read them, because those are written by, especially anything German. Okay, the German, the Tetra Press guys. If there's a rare, as someone I read in the book, The Lizard King, if there's a rare species out there, there's going to be a German to come and collect it. But they know, the Dutch, the Europeans did it first. So read those. Like, there's a book, The Cichlids of West Africa by Horst Link, or Linke, Linke. You can look it up on Amazon. It's Tetra Press. The other one is Anton Laboche, Cichlids of West Africa. I know he wants to update it. Some of the terminology is off, but it gives you basic foundation knowledge. Besides the books, I would say they love aeration. Give them air stones. Give them oxygen, and water clean, water changes. That is, I mean, I've lost so many fish to Popeye and stuff like that because I wasn't changing water every 2 weeks. You just have to do it. Otherwise, if you don't want to do water change, then you're keeping Pelvicrimus pulcher. That's about it, because the rest of them just need that. But the cool thing is, you take all that water and you water your plants with it. So I water my orchids with the fish water, and they thrive. So you could totally be organic gardening about it. You can reuse all that water because it's perfect. But water changes, air stones, and keeping up with that. And the other way that the best way to work on fish health is watch your fish. Spend time and look at your fish. Spend about an hour looking at your tanks every day. And then if you do that, there's a spot on that fish. That might be some ick. There might be this, and you can catch stuff. Oh, darn it, that she's starting to gasp. Maybe you want to get some Polyguard in there to handle it. Or who's beating up who? Let's move that slightly gassed fish and put it in a quarantine tank before that female kills that male. Watch your fish, folks. Just every day, give some time. I call it fish medicine. You're stressed. You come from work and you may think you're a schmuck at work, whatever. You come in front of that fish tank and I call it fish meds. You need your fish medicine, and your fish get the attention, and you can pick up little health things as needed. So that's kind of that's my basics. And vary the food. But West Africans like more vegetable-based food. So if you're going to feed flake, you want to use spirulina. They don't like a high protein, so no bloodworms. Really, no bloodworms. Blackworms maybe. Frozen food, like they love mosquito, like white worms, like white mosquito larvae. Brine shrimp's fine, but bloodworms are bloodworms maybe is a treat, but discus like beef heart, none of that. You want to do more vegetable, more cellulose based type. Frozen foods are fine. I take a turkey baster, and I baste them. If I see a spawn of fish, I'll get powdered fry food, and I'll just turkey baste it right in the middle of the spawn. And if I have a spawn I want to raise up, I'm turkey basting them like twice a day. And when you do that, you gotta do your water changes up because you could get waste in there. But if you want them to grow up, you got a turkey baster is your friend, and keep that water, just water on it, because you don't have to do a lot, but just enough so they can all get that little food. And the fish will know where to bring their kiddos. Like, oh, time to go out to dinner. We know where to go over this corner of the tank because this big plastic thing is going to come down and feed you. So they'll know that. So, yep, veggie based food more.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want people to know?
Jump into them. Don't be afraid of them. Most westies can be kept in a 20 long. Don't do high tanks. A 75 is good. 40 longs are good. 40 breeders are great for your mid-range cichlids like your Ruba labiata, like your Wallacechromis. Your Librochromis sometimes can take that. So Librochromis, you're like a 75. They love floor space because they get aggressive. And then watch your females to make sure that after they bred, to make sure that they're not getting unruly, because I've lost males to be killed by like females. So have a quarantine tank ready to move things out if you need to. I mean, you should always have one, but that would be it. Just be ready for that. And there's some other things, but just do it. Look at the list. Look at those books. Look online. Even if it's searching West African cichlids, but there's that's a lot of genuses. That's about at least 30 or 40 different genuses, and but you got to think, what size fish do you want? Then what? If you got 20 gallon, okay, I got 20 gallon. I'm looking at fish like 3 inches. What do I got? If you're 40 breeder, you can do probably 5 or 6 inch fish in there, maybe. Probably 75 is better. And they like the other fish. So I swordtails do fine in acid water. Danios, cyprinids work great. Some tetras work fine. Live bearers. But they need fish to come up and tell them it's okay to come out and play. Otherwise, they'll be hiding a lot.
Okay, that is some solid advice.
And no cories. They don't like cories.
Oh.
If you like cories, don't put them in there because they'll get ticked off. So don't do cories.
Thank you so much, Alex, and we're so glad that you were able to come out to Atlanta.
I'd loved it. I'll come down from Charlotte anytime.
Thanks so much for watching to the end of this video. We would also like to give a special thank you to Alex Scharnberg and, once again, the Atlanta Area Aquarium Association. This will hopefully be the first part of an ongoing series in association with the Quad A. And if you want to see that, please consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching!